You only have to look at recent events, and I think, you know, the Bury predicament really should be a watershed moment, really, I think, because it's happened for too long now. You know, clubs going way too close to going out of business. You know, I've been involved in a couple myself, and, you know, it's a really horrible environment to be in. You know, no club should ever be in that situation that Bury have faced themselves in now. And hopefully, you know, by naming him and him getting started, someone who's got a great, you know, track record CV in the game, will really help to start setting out those parameters in terms of, you know, when people are taking over clubs, are they fit and proper? Because I think we're seeing time after time they're just not. It's a fact. And then these clubs are the ones that end up suffering.
They have been behind the curve for ages. They're a reactive organisation, not a proactive organisation. Not a proactive organisation.
Well said.
And there lies the rub. And I don't know how. I'm not quite sure how dramatic the change will have to be to get them into a position where they kind of like just start leading the argument.
I'm not expecting, but at least I now know who should be held accountable if this comes up again.
Well, as Jobi said, it's a man with an inordinate experience at the right level of football, and by which that means he knows the right way of doing things, and he also knows the wrong way of doing things, not necessarily firsthand, but by tacit reasons, because he'd experienced them. He'd have seen where the underhand tactics are.
Oh, for sure.
So what you like to think is that he comes in with every part of the knowledge brief available to him. He knows the right things to do, and he knows when the wrong things are being done. Quite whether he's been given the room to manoeuvre to correct it, we will find out. And quite how quickly it can happen, of course, is the other thing. Because, of course, you know how slow the good ship football is to turn.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. We're hearing that the FA, the Premier League and the EFL have had what they've described as a productive and positive meeting with Twitter after online racist abuse of players, a number of players in the game being targeted on social media platforms, people in the game saying that companies such as Twitter, those in that social media world, have to do far more than they are to stop the abuse. Jobi, I'm not sure how much in your career, when you were out there playing, subject to abuse at games or subject to abuse online, that you've received, but it is something that it goes without saying, more can always be done. And this should hopefully be deemed, whatever the meeting and guise of this meeting was, as something positive.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I think we've had way too much talking so far and not enough action. I think, again, in light of recent events, it's really time that we start taking action. You know, these massive global companies are not doing nearly enough to clamp down, you know, stop certain accounts. I think they need to make it harder for people to create accounts in the first place, because it's the, you know, anonymous nature of it. People literally, you know, the keyboard warriors that we talk about sitting at home, the trolls, it's just too easy for them, you know. And people talk to us as players. I'm a bit of a latecomer, especially to Twitter. I was never really on it till fairly recently, and even other forms of social media, because I didn't want to get into a situation on that one evening away after I've maybe lost a game or haven't quite performed to, you know, there's only so much you can take.
You're at your lowest ebb personally anyway.
Exactly. And then in the end, you're the one that will get punished for it. You could be taking hundreds, thousands of messages and you react once, you know, and that's just general abuse. But obviously what we've seen with the racial abuse recently is a whole nother level. So, yeah, for me